Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing narcissistic personality disorder. Now, this is one of those disorders where I feel, and a lot of people say this, that the victim is actually the person who has to deal with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder. For the rest of the video, I'm not going to keep saying narcissistic personality disorder. I'm just going to stick to NPD, the short form, right? So the victims truly are the people who have to put up with someone who has NPD. So what is NPD? What is narcissism? Narcissism is characterized by someone who has an inflated sense of self-worth, right? They think they're so much better than everyone else, and they constantly seek admiration and validation, right? So these two things are the, classic, signatures, right? Or classic traits of someone who has NPD. This is like true across the board. Now, this video is not for someone who has NPD. This video is for someone who has to put up with someone who has narcissism. You might not know that they're narcissistic yet. Hopefully this video will help you see that if you are with someone like that or not, right? So how do you know if you have... So a narcissist could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a child, it could be a partner, right? A romantic partner, that's more important, right? In most cases I've seen, the things that have gone horribly wrong, then the narcissist is usually the romantic partner, right? So how do you know that, this person is narcissistic, right? Number one, and that, that they have NPD. So first sign, right? Nothing ever is good enough for them. No matter what you do, no matter what efforts you put in, no matter how hard you try, right? You'll never live up to their expectations. So you'll never live up to the bar that they have set, right? You constantly find yourself pleasing them all the time, right? And as a result, you find yourself tired, right? Number two, you find yourself second-guessing your own reality, right? Now, this is a classic gaslighting technique, right? Narcissists gaslight a lot, right? They might completely deny something that you clearly know happened, right? For example, during arguments, right? If they said something at a point of time, and if you bring it up, they will deny it altogether, like with utmost confidence. They said that they'll say things like that never happened, right? No matter how hard you try to convince them, it's of no use. They will deny it vehemently. If they did something wrong in the past, right, and if you bring it up during an argument or a fight, right, they might say that never happened, right? And because this is a very this behavior is very consistent and keeps happening, they gaslight all the time, right? You will find yourself doubting your own reality, right, to the point that you'll often find yourself depending on their version of things, right, to see if things really happen, right? They'll constantly make you guess your own instincts, your own perception, your own reality, right? And you can never win a fight with them. You can never win an argument with them. They can do no wrong, and you can never be right, right? So that is another thing. Third is you find yourself emotionally drained, mind you. Third one is you'll find yourself emotionally drained. Now, how do I say this? Dealing with them or talking with them feels like walking on eggshells, right? You always have to worry about or think about your words. You have to choose your words very carefully. You have to think twice before bringing up a subject because you are afraid of their emotion, of their reaction, right? More often than not, you're trying not to trigger them, right? So it feels like a very, it feels like you have to choose your words very carefully. You have to pick topics very carefully, right? And you are always trying very hard not to offend them or trigger them, and that can be emotionally very, very draining. The fourth one is that you feel isolated, right? Especially in romantic relationships, this is one of those, usually in a romantic relationship, you feel like you're with someone, but like being with them feels like you're actually alone. Have you ever wondered, have you ever had a relationship or a partner where being with them actually makes you feel more alone than being alone itself? Yeah, this is one of those. And this is not by accident, right? They will find a way to isolate you from your friends, your families, anyone who wishes well for you, right? And anyone who actually truly cares, because those people, right, who care for you pose a threat to the toxicity or the relationship that you have with the narcissist, right? They might subtly or overtly sometimes criticize your friends, right? They might say, hey, I don't like you hanging out with that friend of yours, he's a bad influence or she's a bad influence. Okay, so you cut that out as well, right? In more long-term relationships, you might find them criticizing your parents, your family. They might say things like, hey, you know what, your sibling or your brother said something very nasty about you. Okay, I don't want to say what it is. So it might, they plant these seeds in your mind, right? That drives a wedge between you and your family, eventually isolating you, right, from your loved ones, and you feel completely alone. The next one is that they always have there's a narcissistic rage, right? So narcissistic rage is an outburst, right? That is so overwhelming for the person who has to put up with it, right? Something that you said triggers them, something that you did triggers them, and that rage is beyond control. You cannot reason with that rage. I mean, they might say the nastiest things, the ugliest things to you, and they might even do things to you that can actually truly hurt you in a very real sense, right? So another classic trait is the rage. Okay, they have this unhinged rage when they feel that they have been invalidated, offended, or something that you did was not to their liking. And it could be anything, right? You will never know what would trigger a narcissist. Usually there are some areas that if you certain areas, certain subjects that could trigger them, but within that you'll never know what can trigger them, right? So that's another one. They have a tendency to also cheat a lot. So narcissists, right, they since there is a constant need for validation, attention seeking, right, your relationship is never going to be good enough for them, right? It's almost always going to be a very and they'll find a way to justify as well, or they'll outright lie. You'll never know until it happens, right? So there's that. Another thing within this cheating, they always triangulate. Triangulation is a phenomenon where they introduce a third person to your relationship. They'll constantly compare you, right, to stir up, emotional insecurity, right? Or they can make you feel inadequate by comparing you to some random friend that they have or some other random person that has got nothing to do with this relationship, right? They might say things like, hey, but he is so much better at this. He does this really well. He's really good at his job. He has an excellent career, right? Unlike you should learn a few things. Now you might suddenly wonder, why am I being compared to this random friend of theirs, right? So that is a classic sign, right, that they use this technique deliberately. It's not by accident, right? It always feels like there is always, with a narcissist, it always feels like there is a third person, right? And they'll always find a way to rationalize it, right? Sometimes that friend of this person, of your narcissistic partner, it could actually be very inappropriate, the sheer relationship dynamic. But not only is it not going to be inappropriate, they'll find a way to, bring this person up to make you feel low about yourself, right? So these are, and there's that. And the last one, narcissists are never, they never take any responsibility for their wrong actions. Zero accountability, right? They can do no wrong, right? They always find a way to blame others. If something happens to them by the virtue of their own choices, they blame others for the decisions that they have made, for the circumstances that arose because of their own decisions, right? But they will find a way to blame you for everything, right? They can take no accountability. As a matter of fact, narcissists, one of the most ironic thing is they call themselves the victims, right? They might do all the horrible things in the world. They might say the ugliest things in the world. They might say the most cruel things in the world to you, but in their head, they can do no wrong, and you alone are responsible for their predicament and their horrible situation, their circumstances, which, by the way, were all because of their own personal choices, okay? But they cannot take any responsibility, they cannot take any accountability, right? According to them, they're perfect, they're, God's perfect creation, and if anything bad is happening to them, it's probably because of the people around them or because of you, right? So if these traits seem familiar, right, you're probably with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder, right? And you're probably very emotionally drained as well. So check out the next video. I'm going to be discussing, the various aspects of narcissism, the types of narcissism, and what one can do to deal with this or get out of it, right? So wait for the next video. I'll see you soon. Thank you.